These are American Indians, no Native Americans, trying to revitalize their culture. Revitalize their culture. The elderly people want to teach their children to keep on the tradition. The last one is the dancing. Dance is not just community getting together to have fun. It's not. Basically, it is a religious ceremony. Religious ceremony. California and Great Basin area, semi-nomadic hunter-gatherers. They ate insects and acorns. So these people cannot build empires. Okay, in California area. Their culture. Again, look at this pottery. Very similar to the Chinese pattern 4,000 years ago. Northwest. Now, Suri, can you read everything on the screen?
Northwest, lived in wood plank houses, hunted, farmed, fished, gathered, and hunted sea mammals like whales, seals, sea lions. Totem poles, potlatch.
Okay, so if you go to Seattle area, you can still see the totem poles. They still hunting whales. In Canada too, Vancouver area, the Indian group petitioned the government to allow them to hunt whales. Okay, only using the traditional method, unlike the Japanese, using the modern boat to hunt the whale. You know, Japanese are the worst in hunting whales and seals and dolphins. They even hunt dolphins. There's a movie several years ago that the Japanese fishermen, they gather all the dolphins into a bay and then systematically slaughter thousands of them, and the whole bay was red. It made into a movie. Okay, that was several years ago. Okay, totem poles. Totem pole. What the totem pole do? Suri, what do you think? What the totem pole do? They record their tribes' history, their tribal history. Okay, and also their belief system. Okay, look at these fishes, salmon fishes, coming to them every year, providing nutrition, food, and they also make them into cultural items. And also fish symbolize fertility for humans too. Mask. The whaling expedition. You need a lot of cooperation. You need a lot of cooperation of the group to hunt whales. Southwest. Chris, can you read? What is
Southwest? They hunted, gathered, and farmed. They were often matrilineal. Some used adobe bricks to build up pueblos atop or alongside mesas and cliffs. Others were nomadic.
These are our area. Texas, what? New Mexico? Okay, near, have border with Mexico, right?
But for you just to give him an excuse to get away from his other responsibilities.
What other responsibility? Okay, we talk about hunter-gatherer farmed, okay? We talk about matrilineal expedition, right? No, the social structure, because they have farming, but most of them by women, Okay, the nomadic, these are the males occupation. So you see Apache people in this area. Apache people in this area, Apache are good fighters. They are good fighters. These are the building structure they build. These are not Spanish structure. These are Native American structure in our area of the United States. See, these are the buildings they do. In my part of China, we have some kind of this kind of building, and these also have this kind of building in Africa, in West Africa, Mali, for example. Usually they are in very dry area. Hopi. It's farmer culture people, okay? Look at it again, architecture. No, their pottery style, They paint their faces and play with snakes. Coyotes is also very important for their culture. Navajo, they imitate eagle. Okay, we'll go right fast from here until the Europeans come, okay? So let's stop this one. Today we learn the colonial culture when the Europeans come, okay? I see more familiar faces. Very glad to see you guys. Don't stay. Okay. Okay, these are what we are going to learn today. Experience of empire. 18th century America colonial culture. Somebody tell me, what did you see from this presentation? Suri. You see from this map, British New England, they built a New England. They built an England in North America. And then on the north, the French people are building a new French, especially in the Quebec, Montreal area. And the fighting is in this Great Lake area in the Ohio River Valley, okay? So the biggest story at that time in the 2nd century is the fight between French and the British. And on the south is what? Spanish people. Spanish to control North America. But the biggest competition is between the French and the British. Fight over what? Ohio River Valley. Okay. So now we are talking about American culture at that time was basically New England culture. Okay, New England culture. You see these familiar names: Salem, Plymouth, New Haven, Hartford, and New Haven are in what? In which state? Connecticut. And here you see New Amsterdam. Let me ask somebody here. Jonathan, if you can hear me, if you can talk, because your speed of your net is not very fast. What is New Amsterdam? What location in the United States is New Amsterdam? Anybody can tell me?
Like New York.
Wow, wonderful. Good job. Good job. Why they call New Amsterdam at that time? Because Dutch are very commercial people, okay? So they used to do trade everywhere. In Far East, they trade with Chinese and Japanese, okay? They were all over the world, the Dutch people, okay? They were doing slave trade. They were partisans, okay? They are very commercialized people and very rich people. So they find good seaport in New Amsterdam, and later on, when the British make them surrender the port, they built actually Wall Street. The Dutch people built Wall Street because Dutch people are very commercialized people. Okay, they built Wall Street. But when the British warship coming in, surrounding them and ask them to surrender, they surrender. So the British allow them to keep their property. So they are still rich, but they lose political power. For example, Roosevelt family are these Dutch people. Okay, so they were American old family, old aristocrats, but they lose their political power for many generations, and then the Roosevelt family come back. Okay, but of course, at this time they speak English. Okay. So the Dutch people are very commercialized people, build New Amsterdam in the New World. And then when the British take over, they build a new what? York. York is a British city, a big, humongous, important, historically important city in Britain. Okay, in Britain. So, and another very important state at that time, colony, is Virginia. All the rich people, the rich plantation owners are in Virginia. For example, George Washington, his family was the richest people in the state of Virginia in terms of the ownership of the best land. Okay? So the people in New York build their situation in what? About how much money you have. Okay? But in Virginia, how much land do you have and how many slaves do you have? Okay? Maryland, a very important state, a colony. They are built to protect what? Catholics. Why? Queen Mary is a Catholic. So Maryland was chartered during the Queen Mary's time. For example, in Texas, you have this cocktail drink, right? Called Bloody Mary. And his half sister is what? Her half sister is Elizabeth, the Virgin Queen. In her name, you have Virginia. Okay, so Maryland and Virginia, they are very near to each other. They are memorization of two queens who are half sister, and Mary almost killed Elizabeth. Okay. Almost killed Elizabeth. So there's a lot of history behind, America. Okay. So any question or any comment? Stella, any question?
No.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, let's move on. What did America look like in the 18th century? Map is very important. Look at it, you see what? All the yellow color are controlled by the British, and on the south, Spanish control Florida, and the French in the what? Mississippi River, the Great Lake area, New French, Montreal, the old Ottawa, Detroit. Chris, why the French people control all the watery area, Great Lake area, and Mississippi River Valley, all the way from the north, from Canada to New Orleans?
The French came in through Canada because they sought to go north for fur trade. And
wonderful, fur trade. Good job.
And then they went down the St. Lawrence River to explore more lands, and eventually led to the Mississippi River, which they claimed for themselves. So.
Wonderful. What fur they want?
Beaver.
Beaver. Why beaver is so important? What is the Chinese name for beaver?
我不知道。
写下来，如果你的中文还可以的，貂皮。貂皮，在中国的历史上，貂皮也是最贵重的一个身份的标志。So actually, a lot of beaver fur was sent to China. At that time, it's the Qing dynasty. Half of the beaver skin fur was sent back to Paris, which was fashion capital of the world even today. At that time, through the King Louis XIV, you need to write it down. Louis XIV, Paris has been the culture and the fashion center of whole Europe. And beaver skin, because it's very warm, very rare. If you under the water, the beaver skin, because there was the oil, very oily. I used to have a beaver heart, one or two, when I was in Russia. Okay, you have to have a beaver stuff to cover your head. Okay, especially in the winter time, it's very warm, it's very fashionable, pretty expensive, but you have to take very good care of it, or else the beaver skin, they will lose something. Okay, so it will be look ugly. So beaver are very expensive stuff, but eventually French lose to the British competition. Why is that? Chris, tell me why. You see, the French almost control more land than the British. British is on what? On the sea coast of the Atlantic Ocean. Okay.
Well, one thing being, the French had a lot of trouble in the late 18th century with the whole French Revolution, the old regime falling, and Napoleon rising up. Therefore, they're distracted, and they couldn't maintain good control of their colonies.
Good answer, but not completely. No. Not completely. French have a hard time attracting their women to come to you. Okay. That's why New Orleans is a very strange city, right? Orleans is a major French city. So they built a New Orleans, that's the French name, on the mouth of the Mississippi River in the Gulf of Mexico. And the most popular one is the French Quarter, right? French Quarter. Why? Because the French king, I think it's Louis XV, trying to compete with the British. British come to the United States in a family units. So they bring their own women. They bring the whole family, and they're very religious. They are Protestants. They are emphasized on family units. And a lot of adventure, French adventure come to the United States to make rich. They collect beaver fur. And if you go to hunt for beaver, you don't bring your women with them because you are in the wilderness. What do? They marry Native Americans, marry their women. Okay, but the family structure are not strong. Okay, because when they move on, they abandon the first family, right? But the British, they are agricultural people, they are commercial people. They keep on steadily pushing to the west. They never give up. They never give up their land. Once they occupy it, it's their land. Because they have a strong family, they produce children. So their family can reproduce, so their population grows. French lose because they don't have strong population. They don't have enough people. They don't have enough people. How didn't the French want to solve that problem? Yes, they did. The French king using patriotic slogans, okay? The first, they ship a whole shipload of nuns, okay? The Catholic nuns. Okay, you guys need to do something useful. I ship you guys to the United States. You marry our brave Frenchmen. Okay, nuns are not supposed to get married, right? But the king gathered together a bunch of French nuns because the nuns can teach their men how to be civilized, right? That's what he wants. But you get a bunch of nuns in New Orleans, and the men don't like them, and they don't want to have children. So that didn't solve that problem. The second, and then the king have another idea. He used his troop to collect a lot of French prostitutes to New Orleans. Okay, that's a real story. That's a real story. That's a real human reality. And they forced them to marry these men to compete with the British to have children. Okay, in order to have soldier, because you have to fight with the British. But these people come to the United States, they run away and do their old business. That's why the French culture, was set up like pleasure cultures. And Louis Armstrong was grow up in that area, okay? And he don't have a father, okay? And he's a piano player, and he become the best in the United States. And the world figure, Louis Armstrong. If you go to New Orleans, you should see the French culture, okay? The jazz, the producing, the capital city of jazz of the United States, because it's a mixture of Spanish culture, Native American culture, British culture, Spanish, French, British, Native American, Black, everything is a big melting pot, okay, in terms of ethnicity, style of music, food, okay. I went to French culture and I see a bunch of German guys, seriously, very serious, going to the jazz pubs, okay, and taking notes, okay, like a typical German people, okay. So their lifestyle are totally different. So that's why we need to know different culture in North America. A lot of difference of culture even influence American right now, even though French lose these locations, but their culture are still there. Their culture is still there. For example, Florida is very different from New England, very different. Even right now, their culture are very different from Connecticut and Massachusetts. Massachusetts and Connecticut actually control the culture of the United States, even right now. Even right now, one of them have Harvard, okay, MIT, that's in Massachusetts. Yale is located in where? New Haven, Connecticut. Okay. Let's move on. Well, these are, again, population. Look at this one, 1.5 million Native Americans. The number, nobody know how many of them. Nobody know. That's the guess. That's a guess. Okay. New England, the biggest population. Okay, because these are Puritans escape from what? From England. They come to United States for religious reason. Okay, and then Chesapeake Bay is involved. What? Write that down. That's very important. Virginia, but look at this. The control of the characteristic of North America is between New England and Virginia. Because why? Their population are very similar. Pennsylvania. Okay, these are the people who want religious freedom. New York is where you make money. Okay, lower South, not much people. South Carolina, North Carolina, backcountry, like where? Georgia. Georgia is where the British sent all their criminals to. Most of the criminals too. Now, look at the population. You guys need to write it down. 70,000, only 70,000. Okay, Harris County, how many people? Katy, how many people? A lot more. Look at this. The big territorial, for the biggest territorial in North America, the French people, these French people trying to control them with 70,000 people. That's not possible. And most of the 70,000 people are male. And male cannot have children alone. Right. That's important. Okay. But even more ridiculous. Northern New Spain. Where's that? Northern New Spain. New Spain is in Mexico. But the northern part is Texas, New Mexico, California, all these big areas they're trying to control with 20,000 people. That's why in Texas, a lot of land, not many people. Of course, they don't count Native American as people. They don't count Native Americans as people. Okay, so let me give some of you hard time. Okay, because that's what I'm very good at. Jonathan cannot talk. Surrey, you tell me, if I say they don't count Native American as people, am I radical just saying it without no reason? What do they count Native American as?
Oh.
Just give you a hard time.
I don't know.
They count them as animal.
Oh.
They count them as something between. It's not a curse word. It's not a curse word. They count them as a natural being by law, as a natural being. Okay, so it's almost like you are buffalo. You are buffalo. Okay, why? Because you cannot have property. You cannot have property, and Indians don't have the same concept of property law.哦 ，Jonathan 可以说话了，等会儿让你说。OK， 太好了。Because the British person are very important. You need to write down in the Declaration of Independence. The word, the slogan is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Write that down. That's Thomas Jefferson. But in the original British philosophical idea is, write that down, life, liberty, and property. British Anglo-Saxon system in the common law system think property is the most important characteristic to have a civilized society. And American Indian and the property, the most important property, write that down, is a real property. Real, I mean real property. 3, what is a real property? What is real property? Because I know you better, so I give you more hard time, right? What is a real property? Does that mean there's unreal property? Okay.
Real property is like the things that you can take with you, I guess.
No. The
Like,
things you cannot take with you.
Cannot.
Write it down. Real property is land and a house that you cannot move. The land, because British society is the culture is a feudal society. Feudal society, even right now, the British are very social class conscious. Social class, they are feudal society. 按中国的说法是封建社会。它的封建跟中国的封建的意思不一样。中国西周时代的封建制，周朝的是封建制，到春秋以后就结束了。秦朝之后，中国没有封建制。Real property is land. If you have land, you are duke. Okay, you are baron. That means you have a land, you have a castle. The real property is land and a castle to protect it. Okay, right now it's a big house. So when you buy a house in memorial area, whatever area, you need a real estate. Real estate. Estate is your land plus your castle. Real estate agent. Why is that? Because you cannot take other people's real estate, real property away. But the gold and silver you can. Okay, I can just kill you and take your jewelry and away. Okay, but if you kill me, you cannot take away my land, my house, because it go to my son. Okay, if you kill me, it go to my son and my son's son. That's why these are the very property conscious people, status conscious people, and Native Americans think the land belongs to Great Spirit. It's a community property. You cannot buy and sell land. That was Native American belief. Okay? Because you didn't create land, how can you buy and sell them? It doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the creator. Okay? So that is a real cultural shock. The real cultural shock. Jonathan, you read everything on the screen. Thank you.
By the 18th century, the Indians in contact with European colonists became dependent upon them. For manufactured clothes, guns, and trade, the French had the best relationship with Indians. The Spanish horse ordered the culture of the Plains Indians.
Good job, good job, good job. So things you need to know, 1, 2, 3. Number 1, the British people are the commercial people. They do business. So they do trade. They even sell guns to the Indians. They sell guns and gunpowder to the Indians. And the other people say, oh, you guys cannot do that. They buy the gun and kill us. But they will say, who cares? I'm a business people. I sell and buy and sell. That's my business. Okay? if you want to defend yourself, you buy more guns from me too. So the Native Americans buy the guns, and they can be good shooters. Okay. Number two, French had the best relationship with the Indians. Why? Easy. They have no women. So the French men marry sometimes, especially Indian chieftains. This is also in the American literature. The last Mohicans， 最后一个墨西哥人，我在高中的时候就看了。OK， 最后一个in Chinese， 最后一个墨西哥人，写的就是这段。OK，the Spanish horse altered the culture of playing Indians because sometimes the Spanish are conquerors. They have a lot of warriors. Sometimes when they fight the Indians, their horse run away. There are 10 or 20 white horses run away and they multiply and they become what? Mustang. That word is Spanish. Oh, Native American, I don't know. But it's not English. Mustang. Okay, I used to have a Mustang race car. Okay, my friend, smashed the car and sell that to me. Okay, and fix it and sell that to me. It's pretty good. It burns a lot of gas. But the Mustang is also very famous Second World War fighter. American fighter airplane. Okay, they build a good engine. Okay, they build a good engine. So later on, they use the same technology and make a cheap race car. Okay, yeah, I used to have one. It's pretty handy. It's called Secretary's race car. Okay, it's not that expensive. It's not that expensive. I ride for 2 years, breaking down. It doesn't. It's not reliable as a Japanese car. Okay. Okay. Anyway, remember that British do trade. They sell clothes, guns, and they accumulate money. Okay, they accumulate more and more money so they can expand even more. That was Anglo-Saxon people are very good at. And the French people, okay, they have a lot of romance. These are romantic people. They do adventures. They marry Indian chieftains' girls. They have a lot of mixed blood children. And their culture accepted. The French culture accepted. Okay? The Spanish, they kill Indians, basically. But the Indians adopt their horse, sometimes use bone and arrow to hunt buffalo. The things I show you, the Indians on a horseback and hunt the buffalo, the horse are from Spanish. They call Spaniard. They were the worst in treating Native Americans. Okay, they were the worst. They whole-scale slaughter a whole village of Native Americans, whole village. They go to a village, they set up the banner, and the priests come over and pray for the whole village. They pray for the whole village. They speak Spanish and Latin. Of course, the local people don't understand it. The local people don't understand the Spanish, right? They don't understand the Latin, the priest. Oh, you guys need to convert to Christ. I gave you 3 days. And you convert to Christ, you go to heaven. 3 days. You have 3 days to go to heaven. And if you don't, you want to go to hell, we'll kill you all. Simple and easy. So their warrior and the Catholic priest work hand in hand. They do what? 3G. Write that down for your AP. 3G. Write that down. God, gold, glory. If nothing else, for today's 1 hour class, you need to remember 3 Gs. God, That's a protest for control the Indians, right? I bring you the way to heaven. What's wrong with that? We're the good guys. Of course, gold. The Spanish believe that dude called Columbus. Gold can deliver human soul to heaven. If you have enough gold, you go to heaven. Hey, strange belief. They seriously believe that. Because at that time, there's one study called alchemy. They transform lead. They trying to convert lead, which is a base element, to noble element, which is gold. Okay, Shakespeare talk about that. Newton, no, that Isaac Newton do. Study alchemy. What alchemy do? Convert lead to gold. So these guys seriously believe gold can put human soul or maybe even human body to heaven. That's enough to kill the Indians, okay? So California called San Francisco called the Gold Mountain, and Argentina is the Silver Mountain. Agin, Ag is a chemical element. Ag in terms of, let me write it down. Guys need to take notes. Ag, oh, what's wrong with Ag is silver, and Au is gold. These are chemical elements. They come to the new continent, the Western Hemisphere, to get gold and silver. Gold and silver. Start from Spanish. And then they remember that they treat a Native American the worst. They whole scale enslave them and slaughter them. When they were all died away, they ran away. Most of them are being killed. They bring in African. They bring in African. They bring in African. Okay, that's the truth. That's the truth. So these are empire builders. Empire builders, their hand and their mind. Their hand, their mind are very, very bloody. The use of horses by the Plain Indians. Okay, look at these Plain Indians, the grassland. They need these horses to travel and run after the buffalo. The Sioux, right now is a city. Okay, it's a city. Famous people are the Sioux. The Crows, C-R-O-W, the Crows always compete with Sioux. So Sioux are the same people, North Dakota. So right now you have North Dakota, South Dakota. Okay. And you have plain creeks. See the creeks from the north almost to Canada all the way to Texas. The Creek War. Yesterday I mentioned about the Creek War. Anglo-Saxon. No. Andrew Jackson, the hero of the Battle of New Orleans in the war of 1812, whole scale slaughter these creeks. Whole scale slaughter. Navajos, Apaches. You heard about Apache attack helicopter, right? These are the names they use for warfare. Apache are famous warriors. And who fight with them? Lee, General Robert E. Lee. General Robert E. Lee, before he was Supreme Commander of Confederate South, he was stationed near San Antonio, Texas, fighting with whom? Apaches. So these are very strong warriors. They do fight till death for their land, their family, their culture. But as American saying is, a good Indian is a dead Indian. A good Indian is a dead Indian. At first, when I heard that saying, American saying, I was surprised. Why is that? Why a good Indian is a dead Indian? Let me give somebody a hard time. Stellar, have you heard about a good Indian is a dead Indian? Why?
No.
No, never heard about it. Anybody heard about it? Then you need to write it down. A good Indian is dead Indian. Surrey, why? You heard about it or not?
The ISD school closure update. My name is Scott Murray, and I'm the superintendent of Spring Branch Independent School District. Last night, we made a school reopening decision based on the information that was available to us at the time. Opening our schools as soon as possible was in our students' and families' best interest. Based on information at